Assalamu alaikum, dear believers.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نستعينه نستغفره يؤمن به وأجله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى أهله وعلى صحبه وعلى أجمعين أما بعد أيها المسلمون. قال تعالى وكل وجهة هو موالية فاستبقوا الخيرات. Sadaqallahu Azim. Dear believers, we always seek refuge with Allah from the rejected enemy, Shaitan, with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. We seek his help, we seek his assistance, mighty and sublime is he. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his servant and messenger. May the prayers and peace be upon him, upon his family, his companions, and upon the righteous all. We greet you again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for blessing us to be present for another day of Jumu'ah. During difficult times, during ease, Allah has allowed us to be present, to earn his forgiveness, to seek his guidance, to be united with the believers in spirit, even if we're not united physically. Our theme today is maintaining our purpose. We're continuing the theme that some of the other presenters have presented during this month, maintaining our purpose, because this is some serious times we're living in. Very serious times, and the stress levels are higher than ever before. The quality of life, the challenge to live, the ability to process what we're seeing is at an all-time challenging time. But there's also hope and some positive things that we're seeing that we've never seen before during this pandemic. So let us start with the Quran, where Allah tells us, he says, Al-haqqu min rabbika fala takunun min mutrivin wa likullin wajhatun huwa mawaliha fastabiqul khairat أينما تكونوا يأتي بكم الله جميعا إن الله على كل شيء قدير. Allah starts by saying, the truth is from thy Lord, so be not in doubt. To each is a goal to which Allah turns him. Then strive all together as in the race towards all that is good. Wherever you are, Allah will bring you together, for Allah has power over all things. So Allah tells us this, the ayat opens up by saying, Al-haqqu min rabbika. Allah is saying the truth and the reality. Haqq means truth, but also means reality. It's from your creator. So that's telling us something right away. It's orientating our mind that all truth, the ultimate truth, the divine truth, the reality is from our creator. Then he goes on to say, so فَلَا تَكُونُوا مِن مُمْتَرِينَ. It says, so do not be from those who are in doubt. Don't be a doubter. But for us, we have to be mindful that we're getting information from all different sources today about life, this COVID-19, racial injustice, how to live, who we should support. It's coming at us from every direction. But we must be reminded that the ultimate reality, someone can tell you something truthful. Someone can say it is sunny outside, and you can say that, that's true. But Al-Haqq is dealing with divine reality, something that is greater. It is coming from revelation. So we have to be able to filter everything we learn, everything we hear, everything we see, and ask ourselves, where does it line up with divine reality? Then Allah goes on to say, وَلِكُلٍّ وَجْهَةٍ. To every is a direction. Wajhatan means a face or direction. But Allah does not place something in the middle. He doesn't say to every person or to every creature. He just says kullin wajhatan. Everything is a direction. Why does Allah not put a word? He could put a word in there and say every person. He could put every creation. He could put everything. He just leaves it open to prick our imagination that everything in human life, everything created has a purpose. And our goal is to figure out what it is. Everything has a purpose. And then he goes on to say, he gives us a hint. He goes on to say that everyone has a purpose. Huwa, he is the one who's mawliyaha. He is the one who's turning you. He is the turner. But it's not just like anyone turning. It's not like if I just take someone and I turn them around. Allah, that's not the idea here. The idea is he is your divine turner. Like wali. Wali is someone who protects your sacred interests. So Allah is saying he is the one who's going to turn you and give you divine purpose in this life. Now you can reject it. You can turn away. You can say, no, I don't want divine guidance. I'd rather take what I'm getting on MSNBC or from this person or that person. But Allah says, Huwa muwaliha. He is your wali. He is the one who's turning you. So that's very powerful to us because now we have to say, okay, Allah is telling me I have a direction and he's telling me he's turning me. So where's my purpose? And again, when we go back to this word direction, wajhatan, it can be every person has a direction. Every animal has a direction. Every insect, every tree, every part of creation has a purpose. And Allah is the one who is actively, this is not a one-time thing. It's not like when you think of Allah saying he turned the Prophet's direction from Masjid al-Aqsa to Mecca. That was a one-time event that happened forever. But this is telling us he's turning us all the time. He's the one who's going to guide us. He's the one who's going to give us our purpose, our direction. But we have to be conscious that the opposite of divine guidance, think of it. We have opposites in this creation. The opposite of divine guidance is the guidance from the shaitan. That we say, A'udhu billahi min shaitan rajim. That's why Allah tells us to say that. Because his purpose is to insert himself into the life of the human family to cause you to miss this purpose. Listen to what he says, Allah reveals to us about the shaitan. He says, and Satan will say when the matter is decided, it was Allah who gave you a promise of truth. I too promise you, but I failed in my promise to you. I had no authority over you except to call you. But ye listened to me. So don't come at me, but approach yourself. I cannot listen to your cries, nor can you listen to mine. I reject the former act in associating me with the law. For wrongdoers, there must be a grievous penalty. Think about it. So now the shaitan is he's trying to teach the human being that it wasn't my fault, it's your fault. I just called you. And it's the fact that you listen is on you. So we must be mindful that in our purpose in this life, that there's divine purpose. But we want to seek refuge, that we don't get sucked into the scheme of the shaitan without even knowing it. And where does it start? It starts always in our perceptions. We say this many times. The first thing that you will ever be tested with is your perception, how you think. Because if you deny that I'm being tested today, if you wake up today and say, I woke up today, Friday, God doesn't have a test for me. You've already entered into a test. We have to come to the point where we know that every action we do is part of the plan of Allah, and it's there to test us, how well we're going to do. And it's not that you're going to pass every test. You may fail many tests. The key is, are you acknowledging that this purpose in life is to be tested and tried to get better? So our theme is maintaining our purpose. And we will connect the unfortunate events we saw in Wisconsin, where Jacob Blake was shot 7 times, unarmed. Because that's causing so much pain for us in this society, in the African-American community. A lot of pain. And we're asking ourselves, when will these things stop happening? How do we understand this? What can we do about this? And we have to always know that I have to process this event and these events through the guidance of the Quran and see what does Allah want from me? And this is the blessing of being believers, being Muslim, having the Quran as your book, having Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as your messenger. Because everything we see today, he saw in his life. But we have to be willing to accept the guidance so we have a purpose. So Allah also tells us in another verse, he says, لِكُلٍّ جَعَلْنَا مِنْكُمْ شَرِعَةٌ وَمِنْهَاجٌ. And to every nation we have prescribed a law and a way. So this is another verse. In the first verse I gave you, Allah left it open, saying to every person there is a divine turning. This verse he's saying, and to everyone he's made from you laws and ways. You hear this idea of Sharia. Allah says every community has been given laws and ways prescribed upon them. So we have to again understand, how does this all tie into our purpose, our direction? And we heard Imam Ronald talk about the Qibla of Muhammad. But what is the Qibla? What did we learn from that? What is the Qibla? We're facing right now, we're facing the Qibla. The Kaaba is, if you go northeast on the map from where you are, eventually you're going to reach the Kaaba. But the Kaaba and the Qibla that we face is more important now than ever before. Because the Qibla represents our divine oneness. We're facing the Kaaba that was built by Ibrahim alayhi salam and his son Ishmael. But it was rebuilt from the time of Adam alayhi salam. So every time we turn our face to the direction of the Kaaba, we should remember Ibrahim alayhi salam. We should remember Adam. But we should also remember we're all in this together. You should not be able to pray without facing the direction that will unite you back to your common one nafsin wahidin, Adam. So for us, yes, we're dealing with the global virus of COVID-19 that's been going on, and Allah knows best when it will end. Yes, we've been dealing with the global pandemic of racial injustice. But is that our direction? Is that our purpose? That is not our primary purpose, but that's one of the purposes that we address as we face the Qibla. So I was listening to a lecture by Imam Warafdi Muhammad Rahimahullah alayhi, because it comes up now quite a bit. Well, what would the Imam have said about what he's seeing with the protests, these incidents? And what can we learn from what he's already given us about how to handle this? So in the 1993 convention, Imam was addressing the idea of racism. He said a lot about it, but one of the main points he said is, it is not the primary focus of us as people. It's not the primary focus. It is a focus. Racial injustice to the African American and other people of color around the world has always been a focus. But it is not your primary. When we say primary, it is not everything that when you wake up and you go to sleep. You don't give all 100% of everything you have to anything created. Our primary purpose is the Qibla, which is connecting us to Ibrahim, connecting us to Adam, connecting us to our Creator. And he went on to say in this lecture that it's the trick of the shaitan. The shaitan wants you to become obsessed with one issue. He would love for the human being, a human family of Muslim around the world to have the Quran and be focused on just race issues only. And forget about the moral person. Forget about the spiritual person. Because you have to address someone's human spirit to fight the bigotry within their soul. You can't, a march is not going to cut it. You have to, a person has to see that there's a disease in the heart and the thinking and the behavior. You have to address this first before you see change. And I challenge you as I challenge myself when I'm listening to the discussion that we hear, we don't hear any emphasis on elevating the moral excellence of our people. We kind of set that to the side. We may talk about social equality, business inequality, the financial. We don't talk about moral excellence. You're not going to hear us talking about eating better, getting rid of the toxins of alcohol and drug abuse, and the behavior with being promiscuous. Those are not addressed. So our primary focus is on the human spirit, and as you address the human spirit, you will also be addressing issues of racism. I'll see if I can explain it like this way. So think about this. We're facing the Kaaba right now. Then if you were to travel from right here to Mecca, you would pass issues of racism. You have to see it. You would pass it. You have to address it as you see it. You would pass issues of social injustice. You will pass issues of poverty. You will pass issues of wealth. So if you take your mind and say, in order for me to get from Charlotte to Mecca, I have to travel through all of the issues of life. So that's telling you that you got to address it to get there. You can't get back to your Creator well pleasing with you and Him pleased with you without addressing these issues on the way. But it's not our primary focus. Our focus is on submission to our Creator. And you do that through these different steps. And think about the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Even in his life, he lived in Mecca, but to get from his home to the Kaaba, he saw all of the issues we're seeing today, which is telling us that we address these issues, but we address them going to our primary direction. Think about this. You can't make Hajj or Umrah without commemorating the life of Hagar and doing your Saeeds. It's one of the rituals. You have to perform the Saeed of running 7 times between Safa and Marwa to commemorate the life of Hagar, radiallahu anha. You can't exclude that. So if you're a person that says, I have an issue with women, you can't even make Umrah. If you have an issue, if you feel like you are superior to the sisters in this world, the females, the women that Allah has created, you can't make Umrah. You can't make Hajj. Because in order to make Hajj, you have to go down to the station of Safa and Marwa, and you have to consciously commemorate her life. That is a sign for us. Because for me being there, I saw that there was discrimination against sisters. Big time, right inside the haram. So what is that telling us? That's telling us that people they're doing the ritual, but they're not thinking of the reality of, if for me to do this ritual, I'm honoring an African woman that Allah blessed to be in this city, to have to struggle and strive in order to bring life. There's no Mecca without the life of Hagar. We wouldn't be making Hajj if it wasn't for that event happening. That's just one event. But our focus, again, is not even on the Kaaba. When we're saying the Qibla, it is a symbol. It is not an ultimate goal. How do we know that? Allah tells us in Surah Quraysh, He says, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَحَابَ بَيْتِ. It says, so worship the Lord of the house. So yes, we're facing the Kaaba, but we're not worshiping it. We're worshiping the Creator who created it. So we want the message today to be, our primary purpose is reconnecting with our one humanity and what our goal is. Let us ask Allah for forgiveness. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Ameen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So as we mentioned earlier, we must always go to the Quran to see how did Allah reveal and discuss these events. But after going to the Quran, we go to our Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, and see what did he deal with. He dealt with racism, like I mentioned. He dealt with sexism. He dealt with moral decay. He dealt with unjust murders of innocent female babies. He dealt with false worship. He dealt with his own people oppressing him and his family members. He dealt with people worshiping idols. He dealt with people who were corrupt in their business practices. So how did he deal with it? What did he do? Did he give up? Did he say it's just too much? The world, this is too dark? No, he invited people to a better way of life. He invited them with the words of the Quran and his life example. So that is how we respond to this. No one person can prevent the next unjust murder. That's not, Allah didn't put that on any one of us. Now we have sports athletes who are asking themselves, what action can we take to prevent it from happening again? That's not the correct question. That's not how we think about things. Our job is to invite people to a way of life that is better and excellent, that appeals to them to come out of what they have on them. Allah told the Prophet in Surah Al-Kahf, we read it every week as part of our tradition. He asked him a question. He says, are you going to wear yourself to death that the people will not believe and not follow you? He says, are you going to wear yourself to death, O Muhammad? Are you going to be so overwhelmed that people are rejecting your message that it's going to cause you to grief? That's a question. Because he felt the same way many of us feel today, helpless many times. It's human. I felt that way this week a couple times. Like, man, why is it that people can't see clearly that life is more valuable than you arbitrarily making a decision? Why isn't it so hard for people to understand? So I had to remind myself, okay, let me go back and remember that the Prophet dealt with the same issue. Our job is to invite people to a better way and show them the best example. So as we get ready to close our talk, I want all of us listening, present, to go back to the time that you came into this religion. Some of us took our Shahada. Some of us were born Muslims and had to revert back. But many of us during this time, we're not in the masjids as often. We feel very disconnected from community, from our mission, our purpose. But we have to go back and ask ourselves, what was that promise we made to Allah? And do you still have the same focus that you had when you took your Shahada? That's the question. Many of us came to Allah on a promise, yeah, Allah, just get me through this particular situation and I'm going to turn my life around. Get me out of this one. Please get me out of this one. I will come to Islam if you only change this part of my life to clean me up, to help me out. But as the years go, do we forget that promise? That is our purpose. Me as a young man, I had a simple objective. I just wanted to go to paradise. Still, Allah knows best if we'll get there or not. But the reason I mention that is because we lose sight of that sometimes. Yes, we're into working and family and pursuing this and pursuing that. But our main purpose in coming to this religion and staying in the religion is to one day be rewarded from our Creator. Everything else is just on the path. And it's there to help you. It can hurt you. So I remind you as I remind myself, there was probably a moment in your life, for those of us who are older, that we said, this day forward, I'm going to be Muslim. And at that point, you probably had all kinds of excitement. I'm going to do everything. I'm praying this way. You were super excited. We got to tap into that during this time. We may not see each other as a community for another 6 months to a year. We don't want people to lose focus of what this is all about. And as you keep that focus, we have to make decisions. Some of our decisions have to be solely for the purpose of Allah's favor. That's okay. For example, the Prophet, peace and blessings, tells us that marriage is half of our religion. So would you marry that good sister who checks all the boxes? She may check 19 or 20 boxes, and you may say, I'm not sure. Would you marry that sister if it meant that you would fulfill the other half of your religion and go to paradise and have a better chance? That's the kind of motivation we should have. We should be like Hagar, running between the 7 tracks saying, I'll do whatever it takes in this life to earn the next life. Whatever it takes. It means, okay, she only got 18 or 20 boxes. Alhamdulillah, let me marry this sister. Let me marry this brother. Because we talk about building community. You can't build community when we have so many relationships and community life that are fragmented. And it's not just, I don't want to always make it seem like it's the brothers or the sisters. But when I think of building community, we can have $10 million of buildings on the front of this property, but if we don't have the people, the families who are joined in their hearts and their minds, it'll just be another great center, complex. So I'm appealing to all of us to think of that promise you made, that purpose that you wanted, and think of what you can do. What are we willing to sacrifice and give to get that much closer? If it means finding a good partner Because that's one of the easiest things you can do as a single Muslim to inch closer to the reward of your Creator. Half of your religion. Think of it. You're starting with a cup halfway full. And all you got to do is you halfway home. Somebody tell me I'm taking a test and I can start at 0 or 50. I'm going to go with 50. And that's gonna motivate me. I'm going to be like Hagar, running back and forth until I find the right partner in this life to get there. And I don't want anyone to feel bad if you've been doing this and you haven't met someone. But what I do want you to feel is that is a serious thing in our faith. Just like giving zakat. The charity that we give, we should do it just for the pleasure of Allah sometimes. It shouldn't be because you like the Imam or you like the Masjid or you like the program. No, you should say, I want the reward of my Creator so bad that I'm willing to give this extra money fi sabilillah. That's the goal. And if all of us can kind of mend our lives to think that way, we would build community life overnight. The challenge is that we don't all feel the same way. We're not going to sacrifice our retirement so that the next generation can be Muslim right here in Charlotte. Are we willing to do that? I don't know. So dear believers, share this message that the Kaaba, when we turn northeast, we are connecting back to the Abraham and Adam and our family and our human life, our divine purpose. To each, Allah has turned away. Tell this to your young people. We don't want them going to college and being so consumed by the agenda of the rest of the world that they forget why they faced northeast when they came to the Masjid. We don't have to give them a whole lot of Quran and Hadith. Just say, why do you think you're facing northeast? You are facing northeast because you are connected back to Abraham, Hagar, and Adam, and it all represents your divine purpose. You're not just out here for someone else's purpose in life. Let us close out with dua. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا آمنا فاغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين ربنا لا تزغ بعد إذا هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب أقيموا الصلاة. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله.
You want us to be on the same row, brother?
No, we can be on 2 separate rooms.
Okay. So, brother, we can be me and you.
Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayru mahdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. سبح اسم ربك أعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يحل وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنب بها الأشقى الذي نار كبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولم يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون حياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي صحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين لإلاف قريش إلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذين أطعمه من جوع وأمنه من خوف الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله We got somebody who wants to take the Shahada.
Speaker to us right here.
Right here. You come right here. What's your name, brother?
Montavious.
Montavious? Okay. So I want you to repeat after me, Montavious. So you're here on your free will? No one forced you to come here today?
No.
Okay. So Montavious, I want you to repeat after me. Ashhadu an la. Ashhadu.
I have run loss. I'm born that way.
Okay.
You gotta speak up.
Okay.
You can't be able to hear that
Okay.
good.
Okay. So Ashhadu
Ashhadu
an la
alla
ilaha
ilaha
illallah
illallah
wa ashhadu
wa shahadu
anna
alla
Muhammadan
Muhammad
Rasulullah.
Rasul
Rasulullah.
Lala.
I bear witness
I bear witness
there's no God
there's no God
except Allah,
except Allah,
and I bear witness
and I bear witness
that Muhammad
that Muhammad
is the messenger of Allah.
is the messenger of Allah.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
So you have now taken your Shahada and you've entered into Islam, but I'm going to ask you to say one thing as part of our tradition. So I want you to say, I bear witness
I bear witness
that Jesus, Son
that
of Mary,
Jesus
is a prophet and messenger of God,
is a prophet and messenger of God,
and not God or the Son of God.
and not God or Son of God.
Okay.
Jeez. Allahu Akbar.
So-
Jeez, beautiful.
So go home and take a shower. You are now a new person, like a brand new baby. Take a full shower. All your sins have been forgiven. And now you're starting your journey as a new Muslim in the family of 1 billion people. So
Thank you.
pray for us,
Yes, sir.
because your prayers will be answered.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. We have a couple of brief announcements. Please continue to make dua for those who are sick or in need. Imam Khalil is recovering well from his knee replacement surgery, and inshallah, he'll be back with us soon. Please continue to make your zakat and sadaqah payments via the website www.masjid-ashaheed.org. You can also pay via PayPal, Cash App, or by phone by calling 704-488-1434. As always, your financial help is sorely needed during this time, so please give generously. We'll have all of our regularly scheduled meetings and classes this week. Via GoToMeeting, we're going to have the brothers meeting tomorrow at 7 o'clock with Quran reading and discussion. Service will meet tomorrow at 11. Talim will be Sunday at 12:30. Tafsir will be Tafsir discussion tomorrow at 3 and Wednesday at noon. Surah Club meets Monday at 7 p.m. Mecca meets Wednesday at 7:30. And the book club meets Thursday at 7 p.m. These are all via GoToMeeting. By Zoom, we'll have the adult beginner Arabic class at 9:30 on Sunday, the adult advanced Arabic at 11 o'clock on Sunday, and the youth Islamic studies class at 11:30. Those are all via Zoom. Register now for the virtual Mosque Cares Convention, September 4th through the 6th. You can register at www.muslimconvention.net. If you or someone you know needs help securing an absentee ballot online, please contact Sister Deborah Majid at 773-551-2225. Assalamu alaikum.